Hi, my name is Genevieve, and I'm not a teacher. I've never taught anyone how to read before. I'm planning on homeschooling my 4-year-old son, Amir. And so, in this video, I'm going to be sharing my plans on how I'm going to be teaching my son how to read. I'm going to be sharing the resources I found, curriculums, activity ideas, and I'm going to be sharing a Notion page of everything that I just mentioned, which you can download for free. And I just thought it might be interesting to record and document my son's reading journey and see how he progresses over time from the beginning to when hopefully he becomes a fluent reader. And so, yeah, this will be part 1 or episode 1. It seems on YouTube, especially, you'll find a lot of people saying that teaching reading is easy. First, you teach the letter sounds, teach how to blend those sounds, and then your child is reading. And I think, when you break down the process of learning how to read to the most basic components, those are the most basic components of learning to read. But I think it's more complicated than that. I think there is a set of pre-reading skills that need to be mastered that helps a lot in the learning how to read part. The pre-reading skill that kept coming in my research was called ear training skills, but the official term for it is called phonological awareness. Here's a definition. Oh my God, I can't say this word. Phonological awareness includes understanding that spoken words are made up of syllables and sounds that can separate and blend, that some words start with the same sound, and that some words rhyme. So the first thing that I'm going to do to prepare Amir for official reading instruction later on is to master phonological awareness. And it's actually easier than you might think. But the first thing that I would say that is really important before you think oh, I want to start, doing flashcards or teaching letters and letter sounds to my child is to use this checklist called Reading Readiness Checklist. I'll be sharing my screen for this portion.
I'm using the Reading Readiness Checklist to help Amir build strong pre-reading skills, making the transition into formal reading later on easier and less frustrating.
So the first one is letter knowledge. Your child can recite the alphabet song. Your child recognizes the capital letters. Finally, phonological awareness, which is the one I'm focusing on, I guess. So your child can rhyme. If you say bat, your child can come up with a rhyming word like hat. So this is, and then there's another category called motivation to read. And the way I'm using this checklist is by doing activities that target a particular item, a particular skill in each of the categories. So here's one that Amir doesn't know how to do yet. Your child can identify the ending sound in a word. If you ask your child to say the last sound in the word jam, your child is able to respond with As I was writing the script for this video, I stumbled upon this website. It's called the Preschool Reading Screener by Nemmer's Children's Reading Bright Start. It's basically a questionnaire that you answer regarding all the pre-reading skills that your child can or can't do yet. And at the end of the questionnaire, it gives you a score and how far along your child is, and then some activity ideas to target the areas where your child is not particularly good at yet. I'll quickly share the website. So here's the questionnaire, the Preschool Reading Screener. So it has questions on oral language. So oral language includes the ability to understand spoken language and speak clearly to communicate with others. So the first question is, likes listening to stories that I read aloud? You can answer yes or no. So the next section is about letter knowledge, phonological awareness, beginning writing, and then it gives you the results and action plan. So I did go through the screener, but I answered no for everything for a child that is age 4. So it scores 0 out of 31. Your child is behind, and you can learn more about that. And then it adds a recommendation, make it better. And then below here, there is a customized action plan for your child in each of the categories the questionnaire like asks for. So oral language, letter knowledge, and so on. I have my own results of the questionnaire included in the Notion page. So I'm going to be showing you my Notion page where I've collected like all my notes and resources and links and things. So here's the section on my Notion page where I wrote down like listening games that you can do. So the first one is anyway. Anyways, first one is like isolate the first sound in a word, like make it like emphasizes it a lot. This is like one of the first activities you can do. So, what did you have for breakfast? Pancakes. And when you're reading a book, you can choose to focus on a letter and then isolate every word that starts with that letter. For example, like bear, balloon, ball, and so on. Another one is snail talk that my son is very good at. It's when you take a word and say it slowly, and then they like guess the word that you're saying. So, for example, flag. What word am I saying? Flag. If I say mom, what word am I saying? Mom. Let's start at the top. Let me share everything. So, this is my teaching reading page, and I have like a small plan slash timeline of how things will take, and I divided them into phases. So the first one is called the ear training phase, and this is where I'm particularly focusing on like mastering all the listening games that I just showed. And I was pretty like gracious with the time I allotted for each phase because I don't know, I just don't want this to be like too rushed. And I plan on homeschooling year round, like in general in the future. So that's why I'm very gracious with my timing of everything. To read at least 3 books a day. So right now we only read like 2 books a day. Well, if you notice my background, it's different. That's because I've actually moved to Turkey, or Turkey, it's the new name for it. And so, like, I've just been in survival mode for the past month or so from like moving from my home in Canada to here. So, we read the same books over and over. Like, starting from now, I'm trying to see like how we can read digitally, like on a phone and on an iPad. So this is something that I will like share my experience on in later videos. Anyway, that's a quick note about that. From February to April, I'm planning on focusing on like letter recognition, and then from April to September. So I'm going to assume at the beginning of this blending phase that I wrote here that he has mastered the listening games, and then he has not mastered, but like mastered like maybe 10 to 15 letters and their corresponding letter sounds. Like when I show him the letter, he knows it automatically. And he can do that for, I think, like 7 letters now. So this blending phase, I'm going to pick a reading program, which I'll show you the reading programs that I found soon, and then start it. Amir, what word am I saying? Listen, all right? At. That. You can give it? Amir, you're too focused on the microphone. I'm really sorry if the video seems like I'm restarting what I'm saying, or if it's like too jumping. It's because like my kids like come in here as I'm filming the video. The reading readiness checklist that I showed earlier, I put it into this Notion page that I have. So you can use this instead of the PDF. I just copy and pasted everything here. And below that, I also have the link to the preschool reading screener. And I have Amir's reading screening results here. So if you download the template, you can like go through what the website recommended for me. And below that, I also have the screener results if 0 boxes were checked if your child is 4 years old. I want to make a note of that. Probably the recommendation would be different if you said that your child was like 3, 2, and so on. Yeah, so if you want to like take a more detailed look, you can download this Notion page and go into those pages and see what the results were. Okay, so this is the fun part of the Notion page, and it's where I've collected the best resources that I found regarding reading.
This is readingrockets.com. If you choose to look into one resource that I'm showing you on this list, let it be this one. This website has tons of resources, articles, and guides on how you can help your child to read. I love this Reading 101, a guide for parents, where it goes over the different areas of learning how to read for preschoolers and kindergartners. I'm not even done exploring what there is to offer, and all of this information is free, by the way. The next one is an online course about the building blocks of teaching reading and writing. I actually found this while I was making the script of this video, so I haven't started on it yet. I'm currently reading a book on teaching reading phonetically. It's a short one. I'm going to show you what that is in a second, but after I finish that book, I'm super excited to get started on this course. Next up is this gem from numbers.org, which is the same website as the preschool reading screener I showed earlier. They have this activity list for kids from birth to age 5. What I love about this resource is how organized it is. They break everything down into 4 key areas: beginning writing, letter knowledge, oral language, and phonological awareness. Each activity is super practical, uses stuff you already have at home, and for the phonological awareness activities, you don't need anything at all. The activities are all designed to build the specific skills your child needs for reading success, and it's all free. This is a free phonics curriculum. Under the home.org, the lessons are numbered from lesson 1 to 232. It does eventually teach letters, blending, and advanced reading, but the first 80 lessons focus on ear training activities, and I'm only planning on using the first 80 lessons. Each lesson is one activity, and so far, you don't need any materials except a good old pair of ears. So I love how I can just quickly open one lesson, read it, and then teach the lesson. This next one is from momdelights.com. They have a complete reading program that you can download for free. This mom homeschooled 15 kids and created this program based on what actually worked for her struggling readers. What I love about this approach is that it's all about repetition and building confidence through overfamiliarity. She gives you everything: flashcard decks to print, chapters that build on top of each other, and activities to master the concepts in each chapter. It's completely systematic, and you don't need to buy anything special. The only thing is that there are not a lot of instructions on how to teach a lesson, or how you should explain a particular concept. I think this reading program could also work great as a supplement in terms of the activities in the program. This next resource is from progressivephonics.com. They have these new alphabetic books that are free to download. The books start with the easiest letters to learn, and kids start reading immediately as they learn each new letter. Each story only highlights words using letters the child has already learned, which helps build confidence. Every alphabetic book comes with activity sheets to help with retention and motor skills. Oh, and did I mention it was free? Next is parkerphonics.com. They have a complete free phonics program that you can download as a PDF. It's called Teaching a Preschooler to Read, and it's a 17-stage synthetic phonics program. I love that the author tells you how to introduce something, how and what you would say when teaching a particular lesson. Everything is very detailed and logical. The program starts with letter recognition of just 8 letters and then moves into actual reading by the first stage. And this helps build confidence and, as the author explains, motivation for a child to continue to learn how to read. All you need for this program are index cards and some movable alphabet letters. Author also taught his 3 children how to read before their 3rd birthday. The book I mentioned I was reading earlier is this reading instruction and phonics book. I'm almost finished with this book, and I am leaning even more towards using this reading program. This book, compared to the Teaching a Preschooler to Read book, goes over the theory and history of teaching reading and why phonics is so important in the early stages of reading and beyond. Honestly, I have learned so much from this book. Yeah, after I'm done with this book, I'm really excited to start with that teaching reading course by Reading Rockets.
So I'm going to go into what I've done so far with Amir in terms of like his reading journey so far. So I've done flashcards with him. So this was a technique I found from the YouTube channel JDA, or JDA on YouTube. And I absolutely love her channel. But doing the flashcard technique, I guess, well, let me explain what it is. So it's when you flash a letter and then you say the sound, and you do this like really quickly. B, you go through like all the letter sounds. He enjoyed it in the beginning, but then he got really bored of it and like would hate doing it, like whenever I would bring it up. So I took a long break, and then I would reintroduce it and he'd like it, and then he would not like it anymore. Like he would not do it. He did learn like a lot of letter and letter sounds that way, but for him, like that didn't work. The other thing I did was letter focused activities. So I would, line up like toys and give them like actual letter manipulatives, like wooden letters. And then I'd ask him to match the letter with the beginning sound of that particular animal or object. Ball starts with the letter B, and he would put the B on the ball and so on. And like different activities that kind of look like this, that are centered around matching a letter with a letter sound or matching letters in some capacity. And then the last thing I've done is I bought this book called Learn to Read ABC. It's by ABC See, Hear, and Do, and it's like a kinesthetic way to learn letters. And I thought this is awesome. And it goes through like a picture of an animal, and then it shows you to match this motion with the letter sound. So for this cat, you would curl your hands like claws and scratch and say k, k, k. And then the ant is like screaming, so you say ah. And oh god, I loved doing this book more than a mirror. And the turtle will be tapping the air, so t, t, t. And the monkey would say but he did not enjoy this book. So I'm keeping this book for my daughter eventually. My daughter is 10 months old right now, so it's still a long time away. Before this video ends, I want to quickly share like the actual materials. So the first thing I have are flashcards, and these flashcards I bought used on Facebook Marketplace, but it has like a uppercase and lowercase, and I've done activities where he matches like one to the other. These flashcards I made on Canva, where I would take a letter and then put a picture and the name of the thing under it. So basically what I made were like custom flashcards. So, obviously his name starts with the A, and he would get really excited that this flashcard has his face on it. And then for M, for example, it has me. Me, mommy. And then for D, I have daddy. So these are great because I got to pick like what item, I guess, like what object it is for each letter. The next thing, I just bought this recently before I moved to Turkey because I wanted to have this on hand. And these are like these are magnetic letters. There's like a bunch of them, and the vowels are in red. And we've used this just like looking at them, and it comes with like a little whiteboard, which I don't have right now. So the next thing I have is this learning resources game. I call it learning resources because it's by the company Learning Resources, and it just has some flashcards. It has these letter manipulatives that you can string onto like a piece of string, and it has a spinner, and it recommends like different types of games, and it came with like worksheets. I'm excited to use this one. This is another thing that I bought just before leaving Canada. These are these wooden blocks that have like different word families. So I have the it one here, and then I have the ob one, the you, and basically you can like twist these to make different types of words. Some of them are actual words, some of them are not. So cag is not really a word. Rag is a word. Rap, bap is not a word. And I just thought like this is a fun way to learn like different CVC words. The last thing I got was the stage 1 Bob books. They just look like this, and they have like simple stories inside that gradually get harder. There's like, I think 12 books in it, or I'm not sure how many books. Yes, 12 books. Despite all the skills and things I mentioned in this video, the number one thing that reading experts tell you to do that absolutely 100% helps your child in learning how to read is to read to them. And I left this one to the end because it's the most obvious one, the most boring one, and it's probably one that you're already doing. But it's also important to hit home on this particular point because I can get so caught up in the teaching portion and setting up activities and all this that I just forget that it's important to find the joy in reading and develop this habit of reading that eventually helps your child in reading. So I'm reading a lot of books to Amir, and I'm also reading in front of Amir. And I think it's very important to model reading in front of your kids. When you're relaxing or you have downtime and you pick up a book instead of your phone, your children notice that. And they're most likely to do what you were doing. When you as a parent show joy over reading, your child is going to find that joy in reading as well, especially if you find books that they are super interested in, on topics that they're super interested in. I did not bring a lot of books with me when I moved here to Turkey, just because I'm only staying here a year. And so I'm trying to find ways where I can read books digitally. I'm gonna try to see if there's libraries here, but I doubt if they'll have English books. Recently purchased a subscription for this app called Epic, and it was expensive. It was $89 Canadian. So I'm going to be using that app to read books to him. In the second part of this reading journey, so like part 2 or episode 2, I'm going to be sharing like how the ear training phase went and how easy or hard it was for Amir to do these activities. And if you're interested in how you can instill a love of reading and a habit of reading for your child, you can check out my previous video, which I will show on the end screen. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! If you have any tips or recommendations or any other resources, I would love to know if you'd like to share them. Other than that, thank you. Bye.